So I've made a few videos on this channel now, so I figured it was probably time for a formal introduction, and I figured what better way to do that than with the BookTube Newbie Tag. So hello, my name is Paul Todkill. I sometimes go by Inverum on the internet, and for many years I worked as a professional esports commentator and host. I do have another YouTube channel where I very infrequently post content related to gaming and esports, but it's pretty much just educational and content. This channel is going to be all about books, which is something that I've been passionate about for my entire life, but have gotten back into in a really big way in the last few years. In terms of who I am and what I do, I'm someone with too many hobbies. I work in marketing in the video game industry out here in Los Angeles. And I'm just, someone who's ready to go full tilt on this whole BookTube thing. I'm super excited about it. It's been a ton of fun making content for the channel so far. So that leads to question number one, which is, why did you start your channel? I think, like a lot of us, honestly, it's just because we want to talk about books. Pretty straightforward answer. I grew up reading. I was a voracious reader when I was a kid. I have read hundreds of books over the course of my life. And most of them were because I wanted to. And then I think, like a lot of us, I'm talking like millennial and Gen Z, when we got to university, suddenly we went from reading books we wanted to read to reading books that we had to read. And it was, I don't know, in the middle of X number of textbook that I was never going to open again in my entire life, that sort of the love of reading just kind of got squashed out of me and stayed that way, honestly, for quite a few years, unfortunately. But like a lot of us, I think during the pandemic, it sort of came back in a big way. We were all stuck indoors and we were looking for things to do, and reading was just one of those natural things. And I'm so glad that it's become a part of my life again in such a big way, because it's something that I've honestly really missed. But I think, like a lot of us, we don't necessarily have people in our day-to-day lives that we can just nerd out about these books with. I'm fortunate that I have some people, but I think, like a lot of us, there's, whether it's a certain book series or a certain genre, we just want to be able to go off and rant and rave about what we loved and what we liked and didn't like. So that's really what this is about. I'm someone who's watched BookTube content for quite a long time, and on Instagram and TikTok as well. So I just wanted to get involved in the conversation. I think it's just such an awesome and wholesome community that I just wanted to get involved. That's really it. And obviously, the publishing industry is kind of a shit show right now, if I'm being honest. So one of the things that I really want to do here on this channel, something that's super important to me, that's something I'm really passionate about, is highlighting indie authors, especially authors who are not taking the traditional publishing route and who are self-publishing. I honestly think that is sort of the future of the medium, the future of this whole industry, and I'm really stoked to try and profile those authors if I can. Now, what unique elements would I bring to a BookTube channel? This is kind of a fun question, really, because what it essentially is like, what's your sales pitch? Like, out of all the thousands of BookTube channels out there, like, what do you do differently? And I could honestly come up with some really, in-depth answer and try and get philosophical. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just someone who's passionate about books, and I'm also someone who works in marketing professionally. So one of the things that I want to try and do when I'm really giving in-depth reviews on books is, did the book that I read match the book that was marketed? Whether it be the blurb, whether it be promotion on social or newsletters on the website, etc. Did the book live up to the promise? I mean, I think it was Brandon Sanderson who said, you need to deliver on your tone promise. Like, when you start off a book or when you're promoting a book, is that actually what the reader is getting? And that's something that I do feel comfortable being able to speak on as someone who markets things for a living. Great. Additionally, I'm someone who has a lot of hobbies, whether it be 3D printing or painting or music. I also make a pretty good cup of coffee, though this is tea because it's late and I wasn't going to have a coffee this late. So I'm someone who's going to try and integrate those hobbies into the channel in some meaningful way. Maybe you'll see stuff probably more on social, of me doing things related to 3D printing and hobbying and tabletop wargaming stuff, because I find that really interesting, and trying to find ways to combine that with book content, whether it's even just narrating small chunks of a book, because I just think that kind of stuff's a lot of fun. Also, I have a cat. His name is Leaf, and he's adorable, and he will definitely make infrequent visits on the channel if I don't remember to lock him out of the office when I film these. So yeah, that's something that I'm into. And also, I want to try and do sort of sometimes more short reviews, because I know often people don't always have the time to slog through like big 25-minute reviews of single books. So I am going to try and do more of that on this channel, just do like short, snappy, sub 10-minute reviews, because I think those can be kind of useful, interesting if you're just looking to talk about a book or see if a book might be interesting for you. What is the series that got me into reading? So it's not a straightforward answer, because there are a couple different books that I remember having a big impact on me when I was younger. First one was The Hobbit, for sure. I mean, it was the first book that my dad ever read to me, and it's one that just stuck with me in such a big way and still impacts me to this day. It's my love of fantasy originated from that, this idea of stories that are larger than life and can exist outside of the world that we know. And I was already a kid with a big imagination. So to be able to see this world that Tolkien built and to sort of envision it in my mind's eye, it was definitely a very formative thing for me. And I was a child of the 90s. I think like so many of us, what an amazing time to be a kid, whether it's the middle grade and YA stuff. I mean, I grew up with Harry Potter and Percy Jackson and Artemis Fowl and all these books that really, I think, set a lot of trends that are still being followed and formulas that are still being followed to this day. And another series that stood out to me immensely was Foundation by Isaac Asimov. I still remember we were in Powell's Books in Portland, and my dad slapped this book down in the pile in front of me and said, "You need to read that one." And it, again, one of these sort of mind-expanding books that really pushed the boundaries of what I thought a story could do, this idea of a tale that spans not only lives and generations, but thousands of years, and this culmination of humanity's story. And I thought that was so interesting, and it really cemented that love of science fiction and fantasy for me in the classics. And what's fun now, as I'm coming back to this as an adult, is I'm realizing that I had a ton of gaps in my education, especially over the last like decade and a half, because there are so many amazing works that came out in this time that I haven't read, and I'm making my way through them now. I just read Earthsea, the first book anyway, and oh my goodness, was I missing out? I'm almost all the way through the First Law at this point, and I'm just trying to find. I have Eliza Locke Lamore on the shelf behind me. A lot of those very like quintessential fantasy reads, especially that people should read. And if you have recommendations for those, sci-fi, fantasy, historical fiction even, I'm getting into that as well. If you think like these are definitive books in the genre, I definitely want to read them. So definitely read those or give those down below in the comments. Now, if it's not obvious by now, what do you love to read? I'm a big sci-fi and fantasy junkie. Oh, I know, on YouTube, so original. Look, the world is grim dark enough as it is. I'd rather put that aside, I guess, for a couple of minutes and just enjoy that in my literature, though I do also enjoy the odd cozy fantasy or something similar as well. But yeah, those are really the books that I really do love to read. So like I said, if you've got some great recs, leave them down below. And also indie authors as well, self-published. Spiffbo is fantastic, and I'll definitely be leaning on that quite a bit. But if there are others that are coming down the pipe that you think I might find interesting, please, I'm really serious. I want to try and find more indie authors to profile on the channel. And the final question, what is going to be the biggest challenge to running a YouTube channel? Not a unique answer, but definitely the answer, the most answer of all time. It's time. I work a lot, and I get involved in too many projects a lot. Like I said, I work full time in the gaming industry. I'm also launching an indie game right now, which is a ton of fun. I also do things in the multimedia space, so I like produce and shoot music videos, and I do music and stuff like that, as well as all of the other hobbies that I'm involved with, and just finding time to read. Oh my goodness. Like, one of the things that's so great about doing this channel is that it's sort of forcing me to take time to read, which is fantastic. I can like book a time in my calendar. I've got my little Notion board. I'm like, all right, here's what I have to get done this week. And it helps keep me honest. And that's just absolutely fantastic, because I don't think I would necessarily give it the attention it needs if it wasn't for this channel. So at the end of the day, this is really just an excuse for me to read. And I guess share it with all you lovely people as well. So yeah, that's basically it. I am a marketing professional, works in the games industry, lives in LA. I'm into sci-fi and fantasy, and I have too many hobbies and a cute cat. That's it at the end of the day. And I'm going to just keep reading as fast as I can manage it. Most of these books on the shelf I've read, but a bunch I still haven't. So I'm excited to continue to get through those and just continue to explore you know, all the new books that are coming out this year and beyond. So if you stuck around to the end, thank you so much. If you're interested in sticking along for more, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.